Hello people, welcome back to Fantastic. So today's video is going to be about the IPO which is coming on 20th of January, which is Indigo Paints Limited. So this company, which is being handled by Jalan family, is actually one of the fastest growing companies, fastest growing in the paint companies you can see in India. In the terms of revenue, it is in the 5th largest one if you see in the decorative paint industry. It is also one of the first companies to come up with differentiated products in the decorative paint industry. So basically products like metallic emulsions, dirt proof and waterproof exterior laminate, floor coat emulsions, etc. and many more. So we are going to do a detailed analysis of this IPO and you will get to know whether you should go for it or not. So let me just put up the agenda for this video first. So first of all, we'll look at the details of this IPO. Then we'll look at the objectives. What are the exact objectives of this IPO or fundraising? Then we'll go look at the financials of the company. We'll be doing a 3-point SWOT analysis, basically going three points in all the categories like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats for this company. Then we will be seeing the valuations of this company, how it is valued, highly or low, whatever is the valuation right now. Then last but not least, we look at the grey market premium as well as what kind of recommendation I would recommend for you to go for, whether you should go for it or not. So now without further ado, let's just start with the video. So here you can see the IPO details. So the opening date is 20th January 2021 and the 22nd January is the closing date. The IPO size is approximately 1176 crores. The price band you can say is between 1480 to 1500 rupees per share. The listing will be on both NSE and BSE. Retail proportion is 35% and the minimum lot size is actually minimum 10 shares, or minimum lot size or minimum order quantity you can say is minimum for 10 shares you can go for. So let's look at the objectives first. So objectives basically means why the company is coming up with the IPO or why they are raising funds through this IPO. So whatever net proceeds come from this IPO are going to be used in this following you can say objectives of this company that they have mentioned. The very first one is capital expenditure for manufacturing facility expansion at Pudukkottai, Tamil Nadu. Then they have mentioned that they are going to invest or they are going to purchase more tinting machines and gyro shakers for their company, and they are trying to repay all or certain amount of borrowings that they have done. Last but not least, they are going to use it for general corporate purposes. Now let's look at the financials of this company. So here you can see the past 3 years performance is given, 2018, 2019 and 2020, and half yearly performance till September 2020 is also given over here. If you see in the past 3 years, the revenue growth has been 12%, whereas the profit growth has been very good, which is 55% in the past 3 years. Okay, so let's start with the 3-point SWOT analysis now. So the very first point in the strengths you can say we can consider is it has a very good track record of consistent growth in an industry which is like fast growing as well as has a significant amount of entry barriers. So it is one of the fastest growing ones among the top 5 paint companies in India, as well as if you see it is the 5th largest in the terms of decorative paint industry. Then we see that the second point, which is one of the strengths, is that they have differentiated products. So differentiated products has led to a greater brand recognition for Indigo Paints, as well as it has led to more and more expansion in the decorative paint industry. So like I already mentioned, it is one of the category creators. So they are the first one to come up with different kind of category like the metallic emulsions, waterproof and dirt proof exterior laminate, etc. So those are the ones which were the Indigo came up with the first ones in them, and these are actually a value add products in their portfolio. The third point in the strengths we can consider is extensive distribution network. So good amount of distribution or a good distribution network has helping it for good brand penetration in the country. So the very first point in the weaknesses we can consider is that they do not have long-term agreements with their suppliers, raw material suppliers. So basically any kind of inability in maintaining the desired quality or quantity of raw materials, or bringing them in a timely manner or at any reasonable cost, this might adversely impact their business, financial conditions and cash flow of the company. The second point is they are dependent on third-party transportation providers for the supply of raw materials as well as delivery delivering their finished products also. Then the third point which we can consider is the majority or significant amount of their sales come from the south side, basically from the state of Kerala. So any kind of developments in this market of theirs might adversely impact their business. So let's talk about the opportunities which are there for this industry or as well as this company, Indigo Paints, you can say. So the very first thing is long-term to medium-term growth. So basically due to COVID-19, the mobility has been reduced. So that is why short-term growth is expected to be muted. But medium-term and long-term growth are expected to do well. Basically pre-COVID level demands are expected to come because there are government initiatives in this industry also. Like government has made initiatives like housing for all or smart cities or Amrit, these kind of projects, or industries globally have also taken initiatives. So that is why the long term and medium term growth is expected to be good after COVID-19. Then in the second point we have is India's per capita paint consumption. So India's per capita paint consumption increased by a CAGR of 6.8% in the last 8 years. See, basically in the 2012 fiscal it was 2.1 kgs per capita consumption, which has increased to 4.1 kgs in 2019. Even the global average has increased from 14 kgs to 15 kgs. So globally also comparing, India is doing very well in that growth. GDP growth is also very good, as well as in the coming fiscal years from 2020 to 2022, the paint per capita consumption is expected to go between 30 to 40%, which is also a very good sign for this industry. The third point which we can consider is that in India the repainting cycle has reduced now. So basically in the last decade the repainting cycle was 7 to 8 years, which has reduced to 4 to 5 years now. So basically earlier the people used to repaint only, there was only like one of the reasons to repaint your house was when the paint used to be washed off or the paint is withering off. But now this consumers are not caring about whether the paint is good or not. They are actually more caring about the outer side look or aesthetics or what kind of look is there. Even though the paint is new, they are willing to change it again and again. So that is why this cycle has reduced, and that has led to more demand in this industry. So now let's look at the threats. So the very first point is any kind of fluctuation in the prices of the crude oil, that might affect pricing their products competitively in the business. And that is the first point in the threats. The second point which we can consider is it is very much sensitive to seasonality changes. So basically, particularly in a decorative paint industry, it is very sensitive to seasonal changes. So particularly in the monsoon season, which is in the month from June to August, the revenues recorded are actually pretty low compared to the other seasons. So it is very much affected by the monsoon season. Then the third point which we can consider is any kind of changes in the manufacturing industry or even in the housing market or in the economic conditions overall might adversely impact their businesses, like they can impact the costing of doing their businesses and pricing their products and the financial performance as well. So now let's look at the valuations. So for valuations, we need to see the PE ratios, price to earning ratio of the companies. So basically this chart is showing you the Indigo Paints Limited as well as the overlisted peers which are there for this company, which is Asian Paints, Berger Paints, Kansai Nerolac and Akzo Nobel India Limited, sorry. So basically in this you can see the other companies. Asian Paints has a PE of 97.48, Berger Paints at 115.33, Kansai at 64.19, Akzo at 47.41. For Indigo Paints, basically the historical PE is 150, which looks higher if you compare to the industry peers which are already there, but the trailing PE which is calculated with that is around 125, so slightly higher from the other peers but around that price only. So in this tabular column you can see the industry average also, like industry highest you can see 115.33 and lowest is 47.41. So 125 might not much be much away from the highest one, but yes, it is right now if you see compared to the industry peers which are present, which are listed in the market, this is slightly higher on the higher side you can consider. So now talking about the recommendation. So basically, like I said, it is slightly looking a little bit high high valued basically compared to the industry PE or the industry peers which are already listed in the market. So slightly higher than that, but even if you see at the growth of the company, like in the past 3 years I told you the profit growth has been 55%, and it is one of the fastest growing ones. In the terms of revenue, it has grown only 12% in the past 3 years, but profit growth has been very good, as well as the expectations from the listing are expected to be very good. Basically listing gains are expected. So basically the gray market premium is between 800 to 820 right now, which is a very good number. So I would recommend go for listing gains for this IPO. In the future or in the long term, if you want to consider, do consider keeping a track of the statistics like the profit growth as well as the sales numbers of the company, and then you can take a decision accordingly. But for now, for this IPO, you can definitely go for the listing gains.